Hello my friends and welcome back to EVE Online with me, Mark from Dadex, and Furia is just heading into some Serpentis dens looking for escalations in a little incursus. So while she gets on with that, we're going to talk about what's happened this week with regards to the mining changes. CCP posted in the forums in the week, and there is a link to the same information available down below, that in response to the feedback, shall we call it, they received, they have made some changes to their plans. First of all, we shall look at the simplest part of all of that and the most relevant to new bros, and that is simply that all of the proposed changes to mining frigates, all three of them, are completely on hold apart from the addition of the gas holds and the ice holds. And the porpoise is in exactly the same situation. So certainly for those of you that like to solo mine, for the new bros, for the guys that love their endurances and their prospects, as do I, and indeed the porpoise pilots out there, so the smaller end industry corps that have got a porpoise, haven't got an Orca yet, or the sensible people that use a porpoise in wormholes or low sec because you get most of the boosts for much less of the risk. They're fine, no changes. You're just going to be able to tuck away the gas and the ice in its own separate special hold. In fact, they go so far as to say here that ninja mining as a career is something they absolutely love. Though if that is their attitude, why did they think of nerfing it in quite the way those changes look like they might in the first place? I don't know, but it doesn't matter now. You see, you put out the proposals, you get the feedback, you make adjustments. That was part of the point I made in the last video, that let's see what actually happens, shall we? I was meeting a lot of people in the game this week who already thought that the changes had been patched in. That's kind of the rumour mill, I guess, of EVE, that people aren't looking at information themselves. They're Chinese whispering themselves into absolute doom and gloom over stuff that hasn't even happened and is only even a proposal. Anyway, on with the show. Now we're going to actually look through the document itself. So here's the forum post, and they also take a moment to thank the CSM for their input. I'm glad they had some input. The changes to compression have been put on hold until early next year while they re-evaluate their effect and their implementation. They do want to go ahead with something, and I think it would be a good idea, but obviously it's something that just needs to be balanced. Mining efficiency, this really refers to wastage. Major change here, they've basically flipped it so that Tech 1 modules, lower skill modules with the lowest yield will have lowest waste, in fact 0% waste, which are going to get you more ore from the rock, are going to waste some, and your ore modules, basically the faction ones, are going to waste none and I assume have a very good yield. Drones do get wastage, so there is still a bit of a nerf to drones going on. We'll look when we look at some of the ships later. But in general, the new bros are going to be least affected by the wastage. So in effect, the quicker you're tearing the ore out of the asteroid, the more you're going to waste. Which I think is a reasonable balance, to be honest with you. It makes sense. They've also put on hold the changes to mining crystals and the associated processing skills. I really do think they could do with a nice tidy up. There just seem to be too many of them. They don't really serve a great purpose. I actually think that was quite a sensible change that they proposed. So we'll see what they come up with in the end. This is all a work in progress, of course. And now to the big boys, the Rockfall and the Orca. And basically it continues in the direction that CCP obviously want to go. They want to stop the Rockfall and the Orca being powerful solo mining ships and make them more of the fleet support ships they were always supposed to be, basically. The nerf to their yield has been changed. There is still one, as we will see. The industrial cores are going to become much more relevant to their mining, and the easiest way to illustrate this, and as I say, all the detail of the changes are here, links down below, or it is in the forums. So as said, the mining frigate and porpoise changes are on hold apart from the extra bays. The Cryos has had a further upgrade to its mineral hold to 50,000 cubic meters. That's good. Barges, right. This is where I think things get a little bit interesting, actually. It says here, our goal with barges and exhumers is to create meaningful choice between survivability, yield and ore hold. However, we understand that some of these ships are not survivable enough. Now, obviously, I've got to say that's a reference to suicide ganking. So, they are increasing the HP of all barges and all exhumers as well as their mining yield. They're going to be tougher, all of them. They're all going to mine better. Generally, I think they are very positive. I hope they're not going to get too tough. Certainly, if the miner makes the choice to be AFK, if you're not going to even try to defend yourself, keep an eye on local, learn how to use your D-scan and just wander off and do something else, that's not on. The market would be killed if it was too easy to AFK mine. It basically would be farming, and the price of ore would probably drop through the floor because everybody would be doing it 24/7. So yeah, I understand that the last thing we really need is new bros who unfortunately have invested every penny of their risk in their big shiny mining barge, who haven't got a procurer. They've gone for the coveter or even a retriever because it's got the best yield. But yeah, I don't want them losing it and then rage quitting the game. But on the other hand, you know, you need to learn how to play the game. The game cannot become too easy. Then it just won't be interesting, and then what's the point of playing it? Now, back in the day, if you'll forgive me for reminiscing and back in the daying, the barges were even more distinct. The coveter fitted 3 strip lasers, it had a tiny, tiny ore hold, it had no tank. The retriever was in the middle, could fit 2 strip miners, had a decent sized, by comparison at least, ore hold, was a bit more viable for solo mining, didn't really have any tank at all. And then you had the procurer, which could only fit 1 strip miner, it had much more tank. It did have a kind of a mid-sized ore hold, but they were all much smaller than they are now. And that was the era of jet can mining, because you either spent most of your time going back and forth emptying your mining ship, and this is pre-venture, so mining frigates were navitases. Then you might upgrade to a cruiser like an Osprey was what I used, then you'd get a barge. So jet cans, you just drop your ore into jet cans all over the asteroid belts. All fleets would have a hauler just servicing those jet cans. One of the reasons they removed the need for that by increasing the ore holds, or at least decreased the need for that I should say, was that you could really mess with miners. It was a popular way of messing with miners. Just go to their jet cans, steal some of their ore, you go suspect, they get angry, they aggress you, you reship, you kill their barge, no Concord. So that was done partly to make barges and mining in general safer. So how far did we go down the road of making them all more survivable, all carry more ore, and all increase their mining yield? What I'm trying to get at is we're actually losing the diversity of the 3 barges by bringing them all more to a centre point. And unfortunately, that is the downside of equity. But what can I say? And if we move down to these graphs, because they illustrate the changes very well, and the changes are really relative. That's what we want to concentrate on here. Blue bars are without the industrial core active, orange bars are with it active, so you can immediately see the enormous boost you are getting by having a fleet support ship, a Rockfall or an Orca running its core, giving you huge boosts. So this is kind of the before and after, and you can see that a Rockfall is mining at twice the rate of a Hulk, and this was supposed to have been the fleet support ship, not the mining ship. All the way down to here, where with the industrial core running, the retriever and the procurer are already going to be producing about the same amount of ore, but without it, it's not much different either. So they're already at kind of parity. The coveter's got a bit more coming in yield-wise, and then the same, although a bigger difference between the Skiff, the Mackinac and the Hulk, and as I said, comparatively, more of a curve there than there is there, for sure. But then after, you can see the Hulk and the Rockfall with the industrial core running are going to be about the same. Without the industrial core running, the Hulk is still going to outmine the Rockfall, but it looks like by a bigger margin. So solo, the Hulk's going to do the best job. But you can see with that industrial core running, all of the yields are actually increased. So we're kind of doubling we're doubling from about 30 to 60 on the procurer, bigger increase on the retriever, but a lot more of this equalization up here, and I think that was the biggest issue. Now if we look here with type B crystal 2s, those yields are even more greatly increased. So the Hulk is actually going to outmine even the Rockfall there. And look where we've got the barges. The procurer's gone up from about 30 down here to probably about 75. So that's a huge increase in the yield on barges. So barges are definitely going to be the way forward, boosted by an Orca or of course a Rockfall. Ice harvesting, same kind of thing, before and after. So it's really about this parity, although the Rockfall here seems to be getting a bit of a boost itself to catch it up and above where the Hulk is. A little bit of balance there. The Rockfall's getting much better at ice mining than it used to be in comparison to the Barges. So I think we've probably got enough here to satisfy everybody, at least for now. Now, these guys solo mining in their Rockfalls and their Orcas still are going to be getting less ore than they were before, but not much less. So we're dropping from just over 160 here to about 120 here. I do hope that the Porpoise doesn't get too left behind. I know they're not changing anything, but I'm just wondering if now that the Orca's going to perhaps have more powerful boosts than it had before. The Porpoise was good because for about 10% of the price you could get about 70 to 80% of the boosts out of it. So it was a good option if there was danger. But maybe that gap will widen. It'd be interesting to see. I shall have a look into that more because I do like the Porpoise. Definitely has a role, apart from just being cheaper. So overall, I think certainly rolling back the stuff in the way that they have is pretty positive overall. I think the mining crystals and stuff and the processing skills could do with a bit of a tidy up, or rationalization might be a more brainy way of putting it. But let me know what you think down below in a comment. And of course, I haven't mentioned it yet, but these Gila skins right here are up for grabs. You need to leave a comment down below with your in-game name in the comment. There's the names of the guys that have won the Gila skins already this month. If you'd like to join them, I've told you what you need to do. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you found this informative and useful. Leave it a like, please, if you have, because that's really helpful. Subscribe if you haven't already and click the notification bell. If you think you're subbed, can you check that you are still subbed? Because sometimes YouTube does weird stuff, including I keep getting notifications for comments that don't appear on the videos and I can't find them anywhere. So do just check that your comment does get posted on the video. I don't block anything that isn't really abusive, and that's never happened, well, once. But yeah, do just check that. I do see them in the notifications I get, and you are entered into the prize draw when I catch you. Anyway, that's enough from me for now. Take care of yourselves and each other. Remember, even is believing, fly brave, and for now, my friends, goodbye. Look at that, straight through the structure. The incursus cannot be stopped. We'll be seeing more of this ship later. Anyway, ta-ta.